The Telluride Mushroom Festival is an annual 5-day event that brings together mycologists, artists, and mushroom lovers of all backgrounds to celebrate the worlds of mycology. Last year, we went and managed to interview experts on a variety of topics, including psilocybin potency testing, psychedelic therapy, functional mushrooms, mycoremediation, and foraging. This video contains those raw, uncut interviews, and many of the people featured in this video appear in our full-length documentary on the Telluride Mushroom Festival, which you can find a link for in the description below.
We're at day 2 of the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and we're going to be walking around interviewing people, learning about what brings them here and what their expertise is. Psilocybin content over here. I've never seen a testing kit like that.
So I'm Novello with Friday Ventures, and I do analytical testing and consulting and education for cannabis and psychedelics. And I'm running this Orange Photonics Light Lab. It's a portable HPLC for psychedelics and cannabis. So today we're running some dry fruit samples. I ran some gummies last night, and it tells us the potency. So we do an extraction, and then we run it through this chromatography column that separates all the different compounds in the mushroom, and then the machine is able to analyze that and report back the potency of psilocybin and psilocin. After we get all the test results, then I'll make a COA, which is a certificate of analysis. That's got a picture of your product and the chromatogram and all the potency information. So the total active psilocin, that's the amount that you're actually feeling the psychoactive effects of. So we got our data down here, and then on the back is a dosing chart. So that you're able to know exactly how much weight of that particular mushroom it takes to reach a certain dose size. So if you're trying to make microdoses, which is 1 milligram of active psilocin, then you'll know how much weight of that particular mushroom from that batch.
That's fascinating. So like instead of just saying an eighth, like as a standard, you'll be able, it'll change based on the strength that you've found in those species.
So when the dosing is done by the raw weight of the mushroom, it's going to be different every time. So every time you have a gram, you're either going to, if it's 1%, then you'll have 10 milligrams. If it's 0.7%, you'll have 7 milligrams.
And what are some like averages? What kind of percentages of do you mostly look for psilocin or psilocybin, or do you and what are some really high numbers and what are sort of the average?
So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're doing a process and you're trying to control the shelf stability, then you're looking more closely at the conversion rate of the psilocybin to psilocin. When you were just testing some raw mushrooms that are being grown, I'm looking at the total active psilocin because that gives us the most information for dosing products properly. So on average, a good strong mushroom is about 1% total active. More mild strains like B plus or Golden Teacher are around 0.6 to 0.8%, and then the stronger ones are going to be over 1.5% for cubensis. Yeah. The strongest strains that I've tested are pancyans, British Virgin Islands, that came back at 3.75 total active psilocin. So they're about 3 to 4 times stronger than your average.
You'd want to be very careful with those. I imagine taking an eighth of those would be absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, 1 gram is equivalent to 3 to 4 grams. So it's really good information that can provide growers, manufacturers, therapists, people just doing it at home, or they have to source from somewhere to help validate what they're ingesting. I have these 2 different ones here that it's kind of helps explain it a little bit more, that you can see the potency, even though these are both cubensis, the potency is almost double on this albino most valuable producer compared to the hillbilly. So if you're used to taking 3.5 grams of this strain, that puts you at a medium to strong dose. If now you get this new strain and you take 3.5 grams, now you're ingesting more than 50 milligrams of the total active psilocin, which is a very different experience.
This is really important stuff. People have needed this for a long time, and this just makes the whole experience safer, better. I mean, this is huge, and I love to see it. And maybe the last thing I really want to know is, how does your business model work? Are people mailing these things in from all over? How does it?
So I'm not trying to do things through the mail. So in Colorado, as of July 1st, this is a legal service that I'm allowed to provide to people that are over 21 in the state of Colorado for their natural plant medicine. So right now, you're just kind of meeting in person. They can connect to me through social media or phone, text, email. We'll arrange a meeting place and we'll collect the sample, and then I'll send them the PDF with their results.
And I keep thinking of more questions. How did you get something like this, and how did you learn what you know now?
So I've been in the cannabis industry for over a decade. I got hurt and was on a lot of painkillers, 20 pills a day, and found hash oil that made my pain melt away, and went from 20 pills a day to 0 within a week of moving to Colorado and getting my medical card. So really jumped into the cannabis industry and became, learned everything about growing, extracting, producing, got involved with R&D and product development, and started using this instrument in California to develop products and make decisions in the grow based off of the test results. I use this instrument to compare other labs and saw that it really worked, and then started working with the company Orange Photonics to help develop it for psychedelics. We work really well together.
And so Orange Photonics is, so this is Light Lab. And what's your company called?
My company is Friday Ventures. I do consulting for Orange Photonics.
Got it.
And I help out at these shows, and I did all the beta testing for all the mushroom stuff, and really just have a lot of knowledge about how to use this machine for the grower, the manufacturer, the personal use, the harm reduction, really the application. They're based out of New Hampshire, and they have some amazing scientists on their team.
New Hampshire, we're from Maine, so that's very cool that's so close. It's happening all over. Have you been to Telluride before?
No, this is my first time. My first time in Telluride, first Mushroom Fest. I love it out here. It's beautiful.
And are you excited for any particular things today or in the coming days? Talks and workshops?
Yeah, I've seen the ID booth filling up, and I've taken a couple strolls through there, so I'm really excited about that. And we're gonna do some foraging later today.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you for your time, Noah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're at the ID tent. We're talking with Gary Gilbert. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Gary.
Oh, I originated Myco cards, which are flashcards for learning mushroom by genus. They have around 55 species in each deck, so it's an alternative to field guides, and it's more portable. It's small. Field guides only cover 8 or 12 species in any given group, so these are a great tool. And I also do a lot of lecturing and guiding walks, and I'm on the executive committee of the Boston Mycological Club. And I travel around hunting mushrooms and hanging out with really cool mushroom people.
Yeah, amen to that. That's really cool, Gary. And I had known, Gary just from social media and things like that. I was aware of Myco cards. Did you guys just recently come out with the Lactarius?
We came out with Lactarius about
Yeah,
a year ago.
That's really cool. That is on my holiday wish list for my family to get me as a gift, birthday present, Christmas present, whatever, something like that. So just so you know that, I'm stoked about it. What has the ID tent been like so far? What's been coming around?
Well, everybody appropriately built down our expectations for this year. I've probably been here 6 or 8 times, and this is the worst year for fungal fruiting yet. It's been a dry year in Colorado, but there's been some localized rain, so maybe tomorrow we'll start to see more things, but it's a challenge.
Well, it's not nothing. I mean, there's definitely some things here. I'm looking here. There are a couple king boletes. I mean, that's really...
These may have been imported from the front range from another part of the state, but it is one Boletus rubiceps. Never is there only one on the table.
Yeah.
And typically they're this big.
Right. I mean, this is a big prize, really, really sought after edible mushroom right there. There's a handful of other things. I mean, when we went out with Alan Rockefeller, we did find, a few species, but yeah, it's a shame that it's so sparse, and that's just, I think it's part of what makes the hunt so exciting, right? You just never know, and you don't get something every time, right?
Yeah, it's exactly like fishing. You're not always catching. You may just be fishing.
Yeah.
And there's fun in that too. And there is stuff to find and talk about that's here, but it's precious little.
Anything that's like exciting, even though it's not a lot? Anything like that you think is really cool that's here today? I take that as a not really.
Mushrooms are exciting in general.
Yeah, so always stoked about the mushroom species. What are you excited about today at the festival in general? Any of the workshops or speakers that you're stoked about today?
Well, I'm going to go hear Eugenia Bone talk about cooking with mushrooms, and we've cooked together, and she's written a few cookbooks already. I contributed to the fantastic fungi cookbook that she put out, so I'm looking forward to hearing her talk.
Cool.
And Alan Rockefeller too, later on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Gary. I really appreciate you talking with us, and we'll be around. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Do you want to do a little filming?
I do.
All right. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Anthony Sabia, Shroomski magazine. Just doing our thing out here. Little art magazine from Denver. It's kind of cool being in here. People thinking I'm some kind of like expert. I don't know. I just publish a magazine. And I think the pictures look nice and I print them. So, By the way, this is my favorite one just to talk about. Check this out. See this one? My editor right here was saying how much her little kids love the monster with the Eggo waffle with the maple syrup. I was like, that's actually LSD blotter. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we're going to stick with the Eggo waffles for the little chappies, okay?
Could you tell me a little bit about kind of what's inside and what the content is in there?
The psychedelic community has existed the entire time within the artist community, and I want to make sure that we kind of showcase that. So, we had John Speaker do the cover. Obviously, everyone knows who that is. It's Alex and Allison Gray's work on the back. But art's big. We want to make sure it's in there, and that's coming from a kid of an art teacher. My mom's an art teacher. She still teaches art. So.
And so is this is it a quarterly magazine? Do you have any associations with any growing companies that people should know about?
So we did 3 issues this first year. We were gonna go quarterly with it. I actually wanted to. I've decided to just keep it as a triannual publication. Our next release is Halloween. Morgan Mandala's doing the cover for that. Valentine's is going to be the first of next year. Android Jones is on the cover, and then we're going to release on the summer solstice. We have launch parties for each of them. The Shroomski night, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Other people comparing it to the invention of the wheel. So that's what we're doing, and we want to make sure that the companies that are advertising with us now, it's really early on. I'm working a relationship with them to go long term, and I want to make sure we give them a really good showcase to go out there and show their products. And I've been working with a bunch of really good growers. Actually, one of them who's going to be contributing here, Travis Tyler Fluck, is walking around somewhere in here. He's probably signing autographs or whatever right now. But he's a grower that I'm really, really proud to say I know, and I get to listen to what he says, and I'm like, man, this guy is on another level for intelligence with mycology, right?
And it was Travis Tyler?
Travis Tyler Fluck, F-L-U-C-K. We got to stick the L in there, otherwise we know how that's going to go.
I heard you're a man who knows how to grow some mushrooms.
Yeah, you want to see some?
Yeah, sure.
I've been at it for 22 years now.
Yeah, wow.
He knows a couple things.
Yeah.
The Fall Hyphae Cup 2 years ago, I won first and second place, and then the Fall Hyphae Cup last year, I won first place for potency with a 43% increase in tryptamines.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow, those are some beauties. Those are some beauties.
And I freeze dry them, so it preserves pretty much everything the mushroom makes.
Yeah, I love that. The freeze drying, really, it's like you just picked them. I've seen some of that going on, and I mean, if you can, a lot of people, that barrier of just affording a freeze dryer keeps them from doing it, but the quality is amazing.
Well, if you research indigenous use, nobody used the mushroom dry, all fresh, and the Aztecs even went so far as to say they believed the mushroom spirit would leave 3 days after the mushroom would appear. So 2 years ago when I started working with the freeze-dried, I realized that I was actually meeting the mushroom spirit in its entirety for the first time.
Travis, maybe give a little, just your opinion on eating them raw, fresh versus the dried, and how you compare the two.
Yeah. So the chitin
Yeah.
Right? Chitin is very difficult for our body to break down. Same material as insect exoskeleton, crab shell. So think about that. Your body has to break that down to get to the molecules. So the fresh is the most integral chitin that there is. The freeze drying process takes the chitin down to -40, which makes it very brittle.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of think about it, it pre-digests it for you.
Yeah.
So you get all the benefits of eating a raw mushroom with that extra added chemical or physical breakdown.
And what's your favorite way to consume the mushrooms? Do you just dip them in some hummus? What's your favorite way to ingest?
Depends on the application.
Yeah.
If it's just for funsies, chocolate.
Yeah.
Whole fruit body. I'm always leaning towards eating the entire mushroom. So blend it up into flour and then mix it with chocolate. And then if I'm doing ceremonial work, if I'm doing really high dose work, 15 grams, tea most of the time.
Yeah.
But as I go down the path, the mushroom keeps asking me to eat the mushroom in its entirety. So I guess my favorite, most tasty way would be chocolate.
Well, everybody loves chocolate, so that makes a lot of sense to me. I've seen some incredible artistic, really creative ways of using chocolate. Definitely, that's an innovative thing right now. I want to talk more about the different strains that you work with, and maybe even different species. Do you work with things beyond cubensis, and do you think that the highest psilocybin content means better? Is that the goal, to just keep raising psilocybin content?
All right, this is I'm going to approach this question from an insight the mushroom gave me.
Yeah.
And the mushroom told me that only you can grow your medicine, meaning that they respond to us in an energetic way and create a unique cocktail. And from working with the freeze-dried, it's evident that there are tons of compounds that are very delicate and very volatile that really make up the cocktail. And psilocybin's just the heavy lifting molecule. But all those other delicate little beautiful things are actually what allows the mushroom to show you its unique personality.
And so it's a relationship, and between you and the mushrooms, you've specifically grown. Are there other species of psilocybe that you have, or maybe even Panellus, Paneolus, that you have played with?
I pretty much grow one kind.
Yeah.
And 42 generations ago, it came to me as the original Homestead Penis Envy. And coming down from a 8.5 gram journey, they asked me to change their name. So now we call them Shiva Lingams. That's the name they offered to me, which is hilarious because lingam is the Sanskrit word for penis anyway. But yeah, 42 generations I've been working with this one strain. And after we decriminalized in Denver, I've been reading about how the indigenous would go to different mushrooms for different applications. So in a prescriptive way. So I thought I was going to grow all the cubensises and figure out how they wanted to be employed. And I would take these high doses of other strains, and they kept telling me you're hanging out with us now, but that penis envy, that's your medicine. So I actually just whittled it down to one medicine for all applications. And then yes, pancyans I've worked with, but I haven't started cultivating yet.
Yeah.
But they are the champagne of psilocybin mushroom.
Yeah.
And that whole genus produces serotonin, which is really unique. So ultimately, we become this symbiotic expression of the medicine that we produce. I am just a companion for that process, a physical representation of the wisdom if I choose to embody it, and an opportunity to be in symbiosis with that specific mushroom. So I've really honed it in.
I think it's really interesting the way that you and the way that many people talk about what the mushrooms say to them. And you can't quite get that unless you've done it. I know what you mean to some level, on some level. Yeah.
To the initiated, no explanation is necessary. To the uninitiated, no explanation will suffice.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah.
I often recount the allegory of the cave, which is essentially how do you explain a world of color and form and light to people that have only known a cave and shadows their whole life? You seem crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And
Shivers, man. Shivers just went up my spine.
No, well, that's how you know it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think about what Andrew Weil said. But he is a brilliant dude and has been working in the space a long time. And when he mentioned going out the first time and how he ate some Liberty Caps, but then they showed him cyanescens. Yeah. Which is really interesting. He had never seen him before, but it showed him that, and that was going to be important for him later, you know. And it just makes me think about how connecting with you, how this mushroom has spoken to you and really told you that it's your medicine, and the other ones have contributed to that.
Let's honor the indigenous perspective in this moment, because we're not Christopher Columbus discovering this communication. We're actually suffering from amnesia. And the indigenous have been trying to get our attention for a long time to bring us back into this awareness that nature is constantly communicating to us. We've just shut down the faculties and the openness to have that conversation.
So there's a lot of indigenous knowledge in this space. Are there some? I think it is hard for people sometimes to know how to interact with some of that really powerful and ancient indigenous knowledge. Are there some resources that you turn to sort of pay respect to that and understand the indigenous perspective?
I think I called it in, and then it just started showing up, and I recognized it. And then I started just, being an empty container. I have a mentor that says, "How do you expect me to put gems in your pocket if they're full?" Yeah. So there's this really beautiful opportunity to just be in a receptive position or just a posture when you're in the presence of wisdom. Because our wisdom is really either being really good or really bad at capitalism, which, we're going to need healing from that. Yeah. We've individualized and psychologized our problems, and they're really systemic, and we're really part of a much bigger web. Yeah. So I think this wisdom, this indigenous wisdom, is just trying to bring us back to that remembrance. And to stop or to divest from all of these systems of oppression. Yeah.
Listen to the mushrooms, listen to the medicine, connect to the planet more. I mean, these messages can never be said enough. Thank you so much. What was your name one more time?
Travis Tyler Fluck.
Yeah. Travis Tyler Fluck. 42 generations of what once when he got it was called Penis Envy and is now called
Shiva Lingam.
All right. Sweet. Thank you for your time.
Won the Hyphae Cup twice. You can look that up. Yeah.
Won the Hyphae Cup twice, and that's out of Oakland. That's with Hyphae Labs, right?
23 milligrams per gram.
Oh my God.
Most mushrooms are 7 or 8.
Yeah. And so when you at 23 milligrams per gram, a lot of times you'll look at they'll show percentages, and you talked about the percentages of psilocybin, and it I think something like 5% would be considered very high, right? Would be considered pretty high.
4% is the highest tested pan-cyan
that
we have, but consider that an organism makes that much of its body weight, that compound, that says a lot.
Absolutely, it does, and we're still trying to understand what it means, and what all of the reasons why they create these compounds.
You can intuit that answer.
Yeah.
It's part of wholeness or holism.
And then there's other compounds that you mentioned though, the baeocysteines and
So those are just the named compounds. Right. But working with the freeze dried, I've recognized that there are so many other things going on.
Yeah.
Things that are probably below our means of detecting.
Yeah.
But I think a lot about how vinyl records record the ultrasonic and subsonic things that we can't hear but physically affect what we do hear.
Yeah.
So a lot of these delicate things taken by themselves have no perceptual feedback, but when taken in conjunction with the psilocybin, they create an interference pattern.
So I take it, I'm gathering here that you're not a fan of isolating synthetic psilocybin and people taking that by itself.
It has its place, but why would we modify nature's perfection? Yeah. If there's all these coenzymes and cofactors and co-things, there's obviously some intelligent design into that.
Yeah.
And we're winding up in this reductive cul-de-sac. We're that this molecule in a drug way does this thing. But what we're going to find out very quickly is that science can't actually assess what's going on because there's too many variables.
Yeah. Oh, well put. That was really well put. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We're here with Irene Dubin of Blue Portal. Irene Dubin does a lot of fantastic work, is no stranger to the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and is beyond this cool booth, is doing some other things. So thanks for talking with us, Irene. Tell us a little bit more about your work and who you are.
Thank you, guys. My name is Irene Dubin. I'm a psychotherapist, and we do retreats in Jamaica with psilocybin mushrooms, which is psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy retreats in a group settings. We teach Threat and I. We teach about growing mushrooms as well. You can use the kits already prepared for you to use at home for your personal use, psilocybin mushrooms. Also, we did some workshop on Amanita muscaria, which is a very amazing mushroom, very tricky, and you need to know more about before you start microdose, for example, on Amanita muscaria. This is the book from a Russian medical doctor who now lives in America, and she get so much information about Amanita muscaria microdose, which is oral use of Amanita, dried mushrooms. And this book has so many testimonials, and it's kind of like a survey she did like over a couple years. About 12,000 people reported to that doctor the use, what was initial condition, and how they use, how many grams, milligrams, how long, and then what happened after. So that book is amazing resource for someone who wants to learn about Amanita muscaria.
And what are some of the effects people are finding?
Yeah, so it's very broad. If you compare with psilocybin microdose, this mushroom can help you with starting with depression, insomnia, skin conditions, let's say migraine, chronic pain. It's just so many different applications with either oral or topical. So you can use different forms. You can prepare your own oil or, tincture, and you can use at home.
And are there sort of, if you eat a bunch of Amanita muscaria, is it going to give you a sort of psychedelic experience?
Yes, so it would be altered state kind of experience, but keep in mind this is very potent and has ibotenic acid compound, which is neurotoxin. So it will be altered state, but it will be other kind of symptoms that you probably won't like.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Irene, so how long have you been working in Jamaica? What's going on with Blue Portal? Tell me a little bit more about what that's been like.
Yeah, so I started doing integration with psychedelics maybe 2017, and I met Threat about that time, and then we planned to start retreats, but because of the COVID, it was a kind of time off, and we got back to that in 2021. And since that, we're doing retreats not just in Jamaica, but Costa Rica, Mexico, and we plan to do in Colorado.
Have you had a lot of interest? How long are these retreats? What might someone expect on a retreat like this?
Yes, we have so much interest and people applying on our website. So you can apply on website. You need to fill out application form, which I will review and basically screen out people with certain conditions, psychiatric conditions that probably we wouldn't work with psilocybin at that time. So people applying, we have so much interest, and mostly every month we do our retreats. A group about 10 to 12 people maximum. And if we do 2 sessions with psilocybin, it will be about 1 week retreat with integration as well.
Very cool to hear about how it actually goes down, and that these things are actually in practice and people are getting out there and able to have these experiences and be guided with people who know what they're doing, like yourself. That's really awesome. Coming from Maine, Maine is sometimes a little behind the curve, but not always, and I think Maine is pretty close to some psilocybin psychedelic legislation, and just knowing folks like you are out there to help create best practices is very important, and will spread to New England.
Yeah, thank you for bringing all this to the world.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a really thriving community, and mostly we've given them cultivation content, and so providing them with this view into Telluride and these folks from all over who've come to share in the love of mushrooms, I think will invigorate everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah. Right now we're at the Fruiting Bodies booth. These guys are a really, really cool functional mushroom company. They make these delicious chocolate bars, really high quality extracts, and I really want you guys to hear from them about the work that they do. But right now they're having a conversation with Cotter, who gave a presentation on morels and is really, really well known for his outdoor cultivation. And we really want to get him to tell us a little bit about the work he's doing with psychedelics in Jamaica. So we're with Spore, and we would love to, I guess, if there's one topic, just talk to you a little bit about the work that you're doing with psychedelics.
Right now I'm working with Irene Dubin. We've got a booth here. It's called the Blue Portal.
The Blue Portal.
Yeah, it's blueportalretreats.com, and she's here. You can go see her there. And we're also doing talks on psilocybin group therapy here at the Telluride Mushroom Festival. That's already sold out at 1. You can sneak in if you use the elevator. But yeah, we're talking about cultivation, psilocybin, morel cultivation, just a little bit of everything fungal. So yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. Thank you. I think that's really, really interesting work, and I cannot let you go without saying that your work has meant a lot to me and a lot to Spore. It really has set an incredible standard over the years. I've been working with mushrooms for 12 or 13 years now, and your book has really just been like a staple on my shelf and a staple reference for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate all you guys do too. And I've got another book I'm trying to work on, so.
Yeah, awesome.
So we're busy.
Yeah, I bet you are. Thanks a lot, dude. We'll see you around. Who have we got here?
So my name is Roger. I'm the lab tech at Fruiting Bodies, handling some of the production right now. Pass it off to Carrie.
I'm Carrie.
Carrie helps a lot over in Massachusetts as well with production and in the lab. She's not an owner in the business right now, but she helps out a ton behind the scenes.
Family.
And I'm Terry Lynn, and I hail from Portland, Oregon, home of the other wonderfully decriminalized state besides Colorado.
That's really, really fascinating. The other Portland, we're from Portland, Maine.
Yeah, I'm Ken. Chicago. We had Chicago Mushroom Company and at Plant Chicago where our lab was, and I know you're familiar with that. And we put this team together, and it's just been incredible since. Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your extracts, what makes them special, and how you approach supplying the public with extracts? Maybe go into a little bit about your chocolates here.
Of course. Yeah, so we're Fruiting Bodies, and we really pride ourselves in the third-party testing. It's really important that companies are, showing what's in it, so that it's, as much as there's mushroom products, but showing that the product isn't harmful in and of itself too. So we're cultivating our own cordyceps, and mushrooms that we're not cultivating, we're sourcing from other farms and our friends here in the United States. We're not certified organic, but hopefully working towards that this year. Everything that we do work with is organically grown. We use 195 or 190 proof ethyl alcohol so that there's no benzene in it, and a lot of the cannabis industry and other extractors are using 200 proof, but we use the 190 to eliminate that cancer-causing chemical that everyone loves. So on that note, we do dual extracts, so we do a water and an alcohol extraction, and then we enhance it with a sonication process with an ultrasonicator. And what that does is it uses about 60 to 120 hertz to break the cell walls so that they're more bioavailable. So with that, we remove the liquid, any residual solvents, and we're left with these little vials of essentially like an ultrasonic crystalline concentrate. So this is 9 grams of organic lion's mane. This is about 90 of these big 4-ounce bottles. So it's very concentrated. And that's what goes into our wonderful chocolate bars. So this chocolate bar has this resin in it essentially, and each bar has about, I would say, I think it's about 1/10 of a gram, so it's 0.01 grams of extract per square per dose, and that equates to about 4 to 5 grams of dried fruiting bodies. So it's very potent. Currently, our cordyceps tincture and the concentrate itself has some of the highest beta glucans we've seen, and you can find all this third-party testing on our website. So full transparency, and that's the name of the game. We just want to be as honest as possible, ethically sourced, sustainable, and just leaving it all on the table so everyone can see what we're doing.
That makes me really happy. I think that's the way it should be done. I got a bar of your cordyceps chocolate, and I can verify it's delicious. And we ate the whole thing at the Denver Psychedelic Conference. So, what are you really excited for at this festival? What are you gonna do for the rest of the day today? You know, what do you see kind of building from this? What kind of relationships are you making? You know, what do you think? How about Ken? What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously it's the people. Like that's, you know, the people that mushrooms attract are some of the most amazing people, and they really care. Like it's fun meeting people. It's fun being here and sharing this, and hearing people come back and say like, oh my gosh, like this helped me so much. You know, want to know more and want to get educated. So this is like, it's just fun being here with everyone, and obviously Telluride is amazing, and a lot of incredible mushroom people that I've looked up. Some of them I've looked up to and read their books when I was learning and starting. So it's kind of fun to meet and see.
Trad Cotter walking up and saying like, "That's come Trad. On." So I 100% agree. And when you go back to work and you're having a tough day or whatever, you can think back to this, and it can really give you motivation and boost your stoke level. Do you have anything to add to that?
You know, I came to this really fairly recently. I had heard about lion's mane for us elders' brains, and I had been taking it for about 6 months, met these guys, and started in on this lion's mane. And shortly after that, I actually was able to completely stop about a 40-year use of a maintenance dose of antidepressant.
Wow.
Been with lion's mane.
Yeah.
And, you know, my short-term memory's better, my long-term memory's better. I'm less anxious, and that's because I added the cordyceps and the reishi. So that's what I do now to take care of myself.
We keep hearing this from people. I mean, the incredible way that people are able to stop taking their pharmaceuticals by consuming these functional mushrooms regularly. Lion's mane is such an incredible thing, and when you add cordyceps and reishi on top of it, you know, your overall well-being is just enhanced so much. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to say about what your company is up to, or you know?
I don't know, pro forma, like our real goal and mission is exactly what Telluride does. You know, we're trying to create community, and with this brand, as you guys are probably pretty well aware, there's no standard and regulation in this mushroom industry. So we're really trying to pioneer this field and create a standard that hopefully elevates this entire industry to heal more people.
Yeah, for a couple days before Psychedelic Science, they had the Mushroom Summit, and the Mushroom Summit, it was many things. But one of the, I think, coolest things to come out of that, and I hope it is there is continued momentum around, is the idea that there needs to be standards. And the labs were really, really interesting in when talking about that. And so we need to, figure out what the chemicals we're looking for are, what the amounts are, and all of those things. And so we can be on the same page. Really, really cool. Thanks for your work, guys. And thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you, North Spore. North Spore. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, we want to help and work with you guys as much as we can going forward. Collaboration's the name of the game. Thank you. Moving right along, checking out some more booths at the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and we came across PACT. And PACT has a product that I find to be incredibly intriguing. They have a tablet that can be used to help break down waste at campsites, break down human waste. And I won't say too much more. I'll leave it to them. Could you introduce yourself and tell us about your products?
Sure. I'm Noah Schum. I'm the founder of PACT Outdoors. We make all-in-one bathroom kits for outdoor adventures. So kind of everything you normally see in a bathroom kit: shovel, hand sanitizer. But then the two fun pieces are PACT wipes. So these are dehydrated and compressed, and when you add a little water to them, they expand to a 9x9 inch towel. And then really where the magic happens is PACT tabs. So PACT tabs are inoculated with mycelium, and when you throw these in the ground, they will help break down human waste faster and reduce pathogens like E. coli. That's kind of the general overview.
And I think that's incredible because, as I was saying a second ago, I think, and by the way, this is the towel that it rehydrates into, and so perfect for wiping your hands off after you get messy. I just think that mycoremediation is still such a difficult area to find practical applications. So this is a very cool, unique way to do that. Could you speak a little bit to some of the research that's been done, some of the people you've been working with? You even mentioned the Park Service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so originally we kicked off the study with Cotter. So he was based out of Mushroom Mountain in South Carolina, and he's the one who really helped us discover and hone in the species for mycoremediation. Mm-hmm. And we're using a real interesting use case. So it's like single use, single hole, and that was kind of the key. That's everything we wanted to test. So he did a lab test, and then he did a field test for us to really get us going. And as we expanded, we started talking to like national parks, U.S. Forest Service, and they're like, this is very intriguing. What we would want to see is a third-party peer-reviewed study. So with Dr. Lauren here at the Telluride Mushroom Festival, we've kicked off a study with Colorado Mountain College to do exactly that. Same thing, we're doing an assay study in there where they're testing about 30 different samples, and then we're doing a huge field research. And so we're kicking off that actually this month.
Yeah, and in case you're not aware, like these, human feces at campsites is a huge problem. You can, people digging cat holes all over the place, and that stuff doesn't go away very quickly, and you end up with, it's just everywhere. And so if you can find ways to get that, incorporated back into the soil faster and reduce pathogens, I mean, it's a really important innovation. I want to grab one and get it a little closer to the camera there. It's just this little unassuming tablet. But you just pop that in the cat hole once you're done. Is there any thought, or is it necessary even if there are outhouses? It's really for the cat holes?
We've only really tested single use. So one thing is we've had a bunch of people reach out for composting toilets or other applications. It's something we'd like to explore down the line, especially as we partner with more government agencies like U.S. Forest Service, where they're using pit toilets or a vault toilet. We see the application being very valuable, so we'd love to expand, but right now we are just basically in the single-use campsites.
Love it. Thanks for talking to us. Yeah, nice to meet you. As is the beautiful serendipity of walking around the Telluride Mushroom Festival, I ran into a young man who is familiar with North Spore. Could you tell me a little bit about who you are and how you know about North Spore?
Yeah, my name's Andy. You can look me up, Andy Better Bugs, on Instagram. I'm a Myco fanatic, mycophile, and I've been using North Spore products for a while now. I have the boom room set up in my apartment, and I'm growing all sorts of awesome magical mushrooms. And also at my campus greenhouse at CMC, Colorado Mountain College, I actually proposed a mushroom project, and my permaculture design professor was super about it, and he helped me fund a project using North Spore mushroom spawn, and I got to show students in my class how to grow oyster mushrooms using straw baskets, just like laundry baskets, straw soaked in water, and sawdust spawn. We mixed it all together, and now we have like way more pink oyster mushrooms than we could all eat, and there's like 7 of us in the class. And then of course we also put wine cap spawn in between all of our garden beds and covered everything in mulch. And every day when I'm out there around the greenhouse, I'm digging through the mulch, and there's mycelium growing, so I'm super hyped, hopefully in the fall, to get a good flush.
I think I want to touch on the last thing you said there. Often people put our spawn in the ground into substrate, and they don't check to see how it's doing. They'll wait 6 months before they really question whether it's working or not, and people can check. After several weeks you should have mycelial growth, and you can check on it. That sounds like awesome work. I love to hear that your generation is really bringing those applications into an academic setting. Y'all hopefully are going to be future mycologists. Bring it into your gardens for the rest of your lives. I think it's just fantastic. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That's all, folks.
Woo! Yes! Yes, thank you, Carl.